Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast, episode 199. Could Pete Rose be reinstated? Are you kidding me? My name's Nick, and we have Harrison with us tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
Fantastic, Nick. It is a shame, as we've said many times, that it took the man passing away to get to this point, but I can't wait to get into it and talk about Pete Rose being reinstated.
Yes, absolutely. But first, before we get into it, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow on Instagram, Rumble, TikTok. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We also have our affiliate sponsor links, Dick's Sporting Goods, MLB Shop, and Lids. You can find these links at the top of our social media. You click on these links, you shop for these companies, we get a nice little kickback, and it's a way to support us without asking you for money directly. So please use these links if you shop with these companies. A way you can directly support us is if you visit our Etsy shop, Rounding Third Baseball on Etsy. We have nice Rounding Third merchandise on there, sweatshirts, t-shirts. We have some tumblers, a whole bunch of stuff on there. So go on there, support us. We've already got a lot of people buying some merch, and the support means a lot to us. So please go on there and check it out.
Yeah, we appreciate the support. It's been fun. And do you have that Tumblr handy, Nick?
Of course I do. It's right
There it
here.
is.
It is really nice. Really nice quality. And it's got our emblem right on there. So there's blue ones and green ones on there too. So you can pick your color and choose your color. It's pretty cool. But I got a license plate and a car magnet too. So it's pretty cool. I'm rocking around in third everywhere now. So
Love it. Rounding Third goes big in North Carolina.
yeah, I'm just waiting for my car wrap to come in now. All right, let's jump right in. This was crazy. Late last night, I get the Bleacher Report, and I immediately text you, Harrison, and Rob Manfred is looking into the reinstatement of Pete Rose. So Rose's family filed for a petition back in December was the date that I saw. And it's just kind of the news has leaked now. And not only that, I don't really like to bring politics into the show, but Trump did sign a pardon for him on Friday night, I believe is the date that he signed it. Or he said that he was going to give him a full pardon. I don't know if he's officially given him the full pardon yet, but I saw something that he signed it.
Yeah, based on what I'm reading, it depends on where you look. But he's either done it or he's decided to do it in the next few weeks. But either way, it sounds like it is inevitable, if it hasn't already happened, that he will be pardoned.
Yeah. So with the Trump, pardoning him, his family filing the petition for reinstatement, and Manfred sounding like he's going to take a legit chance on it, or give it at least a legit look. Does he get reinstated, first of all? And if he does, it doesn't automatically get him into the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame still has to vote. So if that's the case, does Pete get into the Hall if he gets reinstated into the MLB?
Yeah, and not to rain on anybody's parade, because I'm as excited as everybody else about this, but there's still a long road to go for Pete Rose here. So
absolutely.
the presidential pardon is nice. I mean, not that Rose was necessarily looking at any charges or had anything coming his way, but the pardon is kind of a nice way to give him some grace. And then the reinstatement would be huge. But to your point, Nick, reinstatement doesn't mean he goes right to the Hall of Fame. Like, he's got to go on the ballot. Right. He's got to get the votes. You need the writers to actually vote for him. There's still a lot to happen here. And there's no guarantee that upon reinstatement, he would immediately go on the ballot. Like, he's got to be made eligible. He's got to be brought forward to be put on the ballot, because he's, clearly been gone for more than 5 years. But there's still a lot of steps in the process to get Pete Rose to that end game of being in the Hall of Fame. However, you can't take any of those steps without the reinstatement. So the reinstatement is kind of the first domino in this chain. And the idea that this could be a reality, I think, is an exciting day for baseball fans, an exciting day for baseball. And I think if there's ever a time to do it, now is the time to do it. The question is, will Manfred make that decision?
Yeah, and I remember when we watched the Pete Rose documentary, and Manfred was, adamant. He goes, listen, me reinstating Pete Rose or not has no influence on the Hall of Fame. And I had never really thought about that before, right? I mean, it's not the MLB Hall of Fame. It makes sense. It's the Baseball Hall of Fame. They should have their own criteria. However, the Hall of Fame kind of took away that, diversity between the two leagues when, MLB banned them, and then the Hall of Fame was like, oh, well, if MLB banned them, then we ban them. You know what I mean? So they kind of like followed the MLB in that pursuit. But what Manfred said's not wrong. He's like, me reinstating him or not really has no impact on the Hall of Fame. But it actually does. So,
It
like,
didn't. It never did before until the Hall of Fame decided to take the easy way out and say that if anybody that has been banned is not eligible, because in the past you could be banned from baseball and still put in the Hall.
yeah,
The Hall of Fame did not want to have to make that decision, so they copped out and changed their bylaws to make that a requirement. So yeah, I mean that's in all of this, for all this to happen, the first hurdle has to be reinstatement. If
yeah,
you get reinstatement, now all of a sudden you can begin the conversation of, okay, how do we get them on the ballot? How do we get the votes? And the hard part too is, and we've talked about this before, is the current batch of writers voting for Pete Rose, most of them never saw him play.
right.
It's going to be a challenge, I think, for this group of writers to vote for him. Nobody's going to, again, nobody wants to be the pioneer here that tries to rewrite history. And for these guys that didn't see him, we all know how great he was, but will they actually if he can get on the ballot, will they actually give him the votes?
Yeah. I don't know. And David, I'm here with you. Harrison and I have talked about this too. It's like, there's no chance he goes into the Hall of Fame while he's still alive. Because of the chances of them getting up to the podium and putting the voting process on blast, and the whole Hall of Fame board on blast. Like, it's the same thing, unfortunately, with Bonds and Clemens and all the steroid guys. Like, they will not be in their lifetime. It is going to be, they don't want that chance of them getting up there and putting them all on blast. And like, I sort of get it, but I sort of don't. Like, we said it before, the all-time hit king, the guy with the most Cy Young awards, and your career home run leader are not in the Hall of Fame. It's kind of a joke. But I understand what Pete Rose did. Like, I get all that, right? And the character clause being part of the Hall, understandable. I know it's apples and oranges, but the NFL has 2 murderers in their Hall of Fame. Nothing's been done about that. They're still, yes, one not convicted, one has since passed away, but you have 2 murderers sitting in your Hall of Fame. What this guy, I'm not saying what this guy did was not wrong, because it was, and he's admitted to doing it. Was he remorseful? Also, no, he wasn't. But the Hall of Fame should be about on-field accomplishments. That's just me. I wasn't alive really when all of this really went down, or I was 4 or 5 years old when it was really going down. I think he should be in for his accomplishments. End of story.
Well, it's always been a tragedy that your all-time hits leader is not in the Hall of Fame. And I get it. There's a lot of other guys with big time records that aren't in there, but like the guy with the most hits in baseball history, among other things, is not in your Hall of Fame, which is ironic because he's in the museum. He's just not in the Hall of Fame. And honestly, I think that the one thing in all this is that the greatest punishment MLB could ever give him is exactly what they gave him, which is not letting him see this moment.
Yeah.
And I was a firm believer all along that once he passed, that's when baseball would take action, because they did not want to give him the satisfaction of earning his spot in the Hall of Fame, because that is the greatest punishment. And
Right.
B, to your point, they did not want to give him a platform to then basically thumb his nose at MLB saying, "Hi, I got in. Look at me." They were never going to let that happen. So again, the whole thing is a tragedy that we're here. But the fact of the matter is, we're here, and now it is critical that MLB takes the right steps to move this thing forward, get this guy on the ballot, make this happen, so it can stop being such a black eye to the league.
Yeah. John, I don't think Trump's pardon really means anything
No.
other than like he's kind of listening to the people and kind of throwing his 2 cents in about kind of nudging Pete Rose towards the Hall of Fame. I think is pretty much all he's trying to do with this pardon. I don't know. I don't think like that, dude. But I think that's kind of the premise he's trying to make, or the point he's trying to make is like, listen, I'm gonna pardon him. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame for what he did on the field, and that's that. And I think his comments was he bet on his team to win, which we can get into that semantics some other time, whatever. Like he knows he shouldn't have bet. He bet, whatever, admitted it, whatever. So as far as like authority, no, I think it's just him trying to nudge the process along to be like, hey, this should happen.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is a well-known sports fan. This is the guy that was in the USFL and sued the NFL trying to force a merger, and he's many times danced around owning professional sports franchises. So he's definitely a sports fan. And the pardon is nothing more than clearing Pete Rose's name and kind of signaling to MLB to like, hey, you should do the same. Like you were saying, Nick, it's the pardon means nothing in the grand scheme of things to his banishment. But it is a clear signal that like we should just all move on from this and make this right.
Yeah. So does this ultimately happen, or do you think Manfred pushes it off again?
Boy, I wish I had a crystal ball on this one. I think if it's going to happen, this is the time that it happens. I feel like Manfred of all the commissioners has been most open to talk about this issue and acknowledge that it's not ideal and seem to be open to options. At the same time, Rod Manfred has proven time and time again that he is very much concerned with his legacy. And I wonder if he wants to be the guy to let Pete Rose in. But I think at the end of the day, if Rob Manfred appreciates history of baseball, like I believe he does, then he will reinstate Pete Rose and let the Hall of Fame process play out without any influence from him, because that is the best thing to do at this point. Continuing to ban a dead man is silly. Reinstate him. He's gone. He can't cause you any more headache, and let the process happen.
Yeah. And I mean, put Shoeless Joe back in for sure. I mean, like a lot of people are like, oh, if Pete Rose needs to go in, then Shoeless Joe. Yeah, sure. Reopen that. Like, I mean, his stats are hard to keep out as well. Even during the World Series there, it's hard to keep out. But I think my biggest point is like, if MLB wants the fans to stop talking about this all the time, like this comes up every Hall of Fame election, every time the ballot gets released, every time the votes come in, every time the Hall of Fame ceremony comes up in July, people talk about Pete Rose. Now, if you want this to fully go away, put him in the Hall. If you put this in the Hall, this issue goes to bed and it's done and it's over with. Now, I'm not saying that should be the sole reason you put this guy in the Hall of Fame, but it would solve a lot of issues. A guy's career numbers and the career he had, he should be in there. If you want to put him in just as a player, fine. Don't even mention that he was a manager, because that's when the betting happened. Don't even mention he was a manager on his plaque. Just put him in as the player. That's it. And listen, there's plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame right now that don't pass the character clause.
Oh yeah,
right.
There's guys on the ballot right now that don't pass the character clause.
I'm gonna bring up Babe Ruth right now, and I think you guys are gonna be like, wait, what? Okay, Babe Ruth's wife dies in a house fire, and then he marries his mistress 2 months later. That's not a coincidence. I'm sorry. Yes, there's no hard evidence saying he did it, but listen, there's plenty of guys that are in the Hall that should have never passed the character clause, right? Yes, what he did affected games. I get all that. Put him in as a player. Don't even mention that he was a manager at all. Don't. Keep that completely out of the Hall. I'm fine with that. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Listen, I am completely for this, Dork. I completely am with you. We have talked about this at nauseum too. Like the voting process with the writers, I think is a joke, anyways, because of personal biases. But yeah, put all the guys that are living members of the hall right now, sit them in a room and just go around. Pete Rose in or not? Do you want him part of this club or not? Yes or no? Simple question. If you hesitate, fine, your vote's not going to count. We're just going to keep moving on because at this point, everybody in the hall has to have a yes or no in their head. You know,
Well, and many guys in the hall have been politicking to get him in all along. So I think
right?
you'd probably find he's got the support, especially from the guys that played in his era,
Yeah,
who have been saying he should be in for a long time. But we're in the same boat as you, feeling like this is a situation where maybe you don't take it to voters. You should take it to members. You should take it to a special committee of members or the full membership or something. But like this, putting him on the ballot seems silly all these years later. I mean, he retired what, 40 years ago?
yeah,
I mean, it seems silly to put him on the ballot now.
yeah. I mean, but he's never been on the ballot, so that's the
Right.
other part, right? So does he go on the ballot, fall off in the 10 years because the writers are like, listen, I don't want anything to do with this. Like we just had to deal with all the steroid guys. Like we're not dealing with Pete Rose too on top of this. Do they just kind of shun it off to the Veterans Committee, let him fall off the ballot, and what? I mean, he could fall off the ballot the first year if he doesn't get the votes. Then it
Right.
goes to the then does it go straight to the Veterans Committee? Or does he even go to the Veterans Committee because he didn't get strung along enough on the ballot?
I believe the Veterans Committee is allowed to pick up anybody they feel like has been unfairly ignored. So I feel like if he fell off the ballot, the Veterans Committee would likely pick him up, and then you would see how serious some of those guys are about letting him in.
Yeah, well, this is awesome, John. Maybe we can get the robots to vote after they're done calling balls and strikes. Hilarious. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, if that's what it's going to take, then sure. I just like, I get that this is a polarizing topic and you're either on one side of the fence or the other. Like, and I get it. Was he a great guy? No. We all baseball fans, all reasonable baseball fans know that. We know he wasn't a great guy off the field. But it is undeniable how this guy played the game. He changed the game of baseball, and that's what the Hall of Fame is about. And to me, it's a no-brainer for me. It
yeah,
really
we're
is.
trying to get the guy into the Hall of Fame to acknowledge his accomplishments on the field. We're not trying to, put him up for sainthood. Um, I mean,
Right.
I mean, a lot of these guys were not good guys, but however, they were phenomenal baseball players. I mean, Ted Williams, not a likable guy, but hard to argue what he did on the field.
Yeah. I I don't know. I mean, it's all going to be a moot point if Rob Manfred just pushes this aside and says no. I mean, we could be talking about nothing. But to the fact that he even came out and said that he's looking at the reinstatement process is pretty big. It's massive
Yeah,
because no one's really talked about it. No one's wanted, like to your point, no one's wanted to tackle this. No one's had the cojones to be like, hey, we should talk about Pete Rose here. No, every commissioner's been like, nope, no, I hands off. No thanks. I got enough on my plate. And to Manfred's credit, I hate I'm saying that I'm giving Manfred credit. He's got a crap ton on his plate right now.
he does.
He's got two he's got two major league teams without a home. He's got the CBA expiring in 2026. He wants expansion to come before he leaves in 29. And then he brings this in. Like that's a lot of loose ends to tie up before
Yeah,
2029.
and in the meantime, you've got a
You
players'
know?
association and an ownership group that are clearly at odds heading into your CBA,
Right.
um, and
Yeah.
preparing to square off here. So it's an
Yeah.
interesting time frame. But one of the questions in the chat, should Barry Bonds be next? I think the steroids issue's got to get dealt with at some point, and I don't know when that
I
time is.
agree.
I think Pete Rose is in a completely separate category as Bonds, But I do think at some point you have to go back and look at these steroid era users, and you have to acknowledge the fact that they weren't the only ones doing it. They were just some of the ones that got caught, and acknowledge the fact that there is a steroid era. I don't care if you put them on a separate wall. I don't care if you put an asterisk on their plaques. I don't care if you choose to acknowledge them in some other way as members of the steroids era. But you cannot keep Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, guys like that, out of the Hall of Fame any longer, because you have guys holding significant records that are not in the Hall of Fame. And same with McGuire and Sosa.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% there. It is something that is going to be looked at, I think, further down the road. Like you said, it has to, right? We can't just like put a black mark through that stretch of time in baseball because, listen, we've talked about it before. You put the commissioner of the league during that time in the Hall of Fame, and you can't tell me that he had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, and
there's no way in
you've put
hell.
other players from that time period in the Hall of Fame. How do you know that they didn't use? I mean, you don't. You cannot kind of grab one segment of baseball and say, no, we're going to put you guys aside. You are ignoring an entire era of the game. And a good point by John. Bonds is a hard one because the writers don't like him. He was not a likable guy. He was not warm to the writers. He was not even nice to the writers. He was cold. He was short. There's not a lot of people in the writers community begging to see Bonds in the Hall of Fame. It's the fans that want to see him in the game or see him in the Hall of Fame because of what he did on the field.
Well, he's off the ballot, so it wouldn't come down to the writers anyways, right?
He would go to the Veterans Committee now. But that's why he stood no shot, because he was not a guy anybody was rushing to vote for. And then to answer Bill's question in the chat about the Donald Trump connection is only because he had the pardon. Trump has nothing to do with reinstatement or the process. Trump was just clearing Rose's name to kind of signal the fact that the world should move on because the man has passed. But I don't think that Donald Trump plays a part in any way into this reinstatement. I think he was just trying to take a step in the right direction to try to help clear Pete's name and maybe clear the way for this process to start.
Yeah. And history dork, this is a fantastic point, right? I mean, it was a different time. I get that, but there is a lot of concrete evidence against Rose, and I'm not dismissing that whatsoever. And I think that's what makes this topic so polarizing, obviously. But Jackson, I don't think he had the baggage like that either. To say that the White Sox were throwing games, and then you look at Shoeless Joe Jackson's World Series numbers, you're like, well, he clearly wasn't a part of that. It's I mean, it's hard, and I get it's not a black and white thing. It's not one or the other here. Like, there has to be some concessions on both sides. But for me, I think at this point, he served his time. He served his sentence. He served a lifetime sentence. I know that's officially, it was a permanent ban. Let's get that straight, right? A lot of fans are kind of mixed with that. They say it's a lifetime ban. Well, his lifetime's over. It wasn't a lifetime ban. It was a permanent ban. So that ban has to get lifted. Now, somewhere along the lines, that has shifted to say a lifetime ban, because that's what we just kind of think. Well, lifetime is a permanent ban, whatever. So it's been lost in the translation there a little bit. But it is a permanent ban, has to be lifted. And I think they should look at Shoeless Joe again, for sure.
Yeah, Shoeless Joe isn't guilty because it looks like he did anything. He's guilty by association because his teammates did. I mean, Shoeless Joe hit almost 400 in that World Series. He was arguably the best player on the field. The fact his teammates laid down had nothing to do with his performance, but he is, guilty by association because they lost and players knowingly and admittedly threw that World Series. But I think that Rose and Shoeless Joe are definitely in the same category of people that, did harm or were believed to have done harm to the game and therefore had to pay a price. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The evidence against Rose is damning, including his own confession of doing it. There's no argument there. But in reality, you already gave him the greatest punishment by not letting him in during his life. What's the point of keeping him out at this point?
Yeah. 1,000%. So I don't know what happens going on from here, but I mean, like I said, the petition was filed in December by the family. It just dropped yesterday that Manfred was looking at it. So he's been sitting on it for a couple months, or it hasn't been leaked out for a couple months. So I don't know. We'll definitely, obviously, keep an eye on it, but um, I don't know. I hope, and like you said, this isn't going to be like he's reinstated, boom, he's in the
Right.
Hall of Fame. It's going to be a long process.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, you
But
have to clear this first hurdle for the process to even start. And I think, as a baseball fan, I'm excited that the conversation's even happening.
yes,
So at least it's
1,000%.
progress. It might be slow, but at least it's progress.
It's progress, and I'm not confident that he still gets in.
No.
I think this is it. I think the Hall still kind of sticks their nose up, keeping him out.
Yeah,
But
this is not a slam dunk.
I hope not.
There's still a lot of potential pitfalls here where he doesn't make it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we'll move on from Pete and we'll get into some spring training, injury updates, and all that stuff. So Luis Heel for the Yankees shut down with shoulder tightness. We'll have an MRI to see what's going on there. Could this derail the Yankees' chances at all?
Well, I mean, you're looking at losing Luis Heel and having to put Marcus Stroman in that rotation. I think that's about the worst case scenario for the Yankees in terms of their rotation. So does it hurt their chances? No, I still think the Yankees are a playoff team. But I don't think they're winning the East by as comfortable a margin without Heel. I mean, the guy was lights out for them last year. There were stretches of last year where he was the best pitcher on that team. That's a pretty big blow to them, but not one
Yeah.
they can't overcome.
So Marcus Stroman spent all spring training barking that he wanted to be out of the bullpen. He finally gets the start for the Yankees today, gives up back-to-back jacks to Austin Riley and Matt Olson. So it's like, well, dude, it's your time to put up, and you're not. So, I mean, he is going to be in that rotation if Heel's out for an extended period of time. But this could be a huge loss to the Yankees, depending on, what the shoulder looks like. But yeah, terrible.
And
But on top of Luis Seal,
well, I
go
say,
ahead.
and the Yankees now have to eat some crow if they've got to put Marcus Stroman back on rotation after basically telling the guy all offseason, we don't want you. I think, set aside the on the field performance, like, this is a clubhouse problem for the Yankees to have to keep Stroman around potentially, because you don't want him.
Yep.
He doesn't want to be there. When Luis Heel comes back, you're going to have to deal with this issue again, because it's unlikely Luis Heel misses the whole season with shoulder tightness. So you're kind of just kicking the can down the road on this vicious gash in your arm that you have to deal with at some point.
Yeah. And then on top of Luis Heel going down, you also have Stanton going down with both elbows. He's got tendonitis in both, I think it is. And then LeMahieu leaves with a calf. They join the IL. And I put both remain fragile.
Well,
I mean, these guys have missed so much time.
And I feel like that headline's misleading, Nick. You're saying they joined the IL, but did they really ever leave it?
Fair. It's fair.
I mean, DJ LeMahieu, I think people have forgotten he's a Yankee. I think there's people around baseball that think he's retired. Like, that, it's a name they've heard so little of that I think people have forgotten about him.
Yeah. It's been tough. And listen, for Stanton, as long as he's around during the playoffs, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I mean, because the guy's an absolute beast in the playoffs. But this hurts for the Yankees. I think not so much LeMahieu, but it might, with Stanton kind of out of that middle of that lineup, because we don't know a timetable for Stanton. But him out of the middle of that lineup with some thump could be pretty tough.
Well, I think it's tough because Stanton is your protection for Judge. So not only do you lose Stanton's thump, but you also lose your protection for Judge. Not that other players can't slide down that or slide up that order and provide some protection to Judge, but I think Stanton, albeit not the same guy he used to be, still scares pitchers more than Austin Wells, for example. That I think it's
Mhm.
just the reality of it. So I think that the impact is not just losing Stanton, but it's also losing Judge's protection. LeMahieu, I don't think the Yankees were expecting much of anything from him this year, so losing him I don't think matters. I mean, we talked all offseason about, and so did the Yankees, about needing a second baseman or a third baseman to fill in for Jazz or to move Jazz to one. Never once did they talk about LeMahieu being back. It was clear they
Right.
did not expect him to play much of a role in this team.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't really been present the last 4 or 5. I mean, he had a couple batting titles there. He won the batting title in 2020. 2021, he had a decent year, and then it's just been injury-ridden since, I
Yeah,
believe.
and even when
So,
he has played, I mean,
um,
he's played more games than I think we give him credit for. So in 2021, in 21 he played 150, 22 he played 125, 23 he played 136, 24 he
okay.
played 67. I think the issue with LeMahieu, it's not just him being on the field, it's also the quality of the play because he's been dealing with nagging injuries. So like in 2021 he played 150 games, but he hit 268. In 2022 he played 125 games at 261. 23 he played 136 games at 243. Even when he's been in there, he hasn't been effective in years because in many
Yeah.
cases either the performance has declined or he's been dealing with nagging injuries for he may not be on the IL, but he's not healthy. Like he's just been consistently battling something, and you've gotten a 75% DJ LeMahieu for the last few years. Although he's out there, great, but he's not making a difference for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's man, it's tough because when he came from the Rockies to the Yankees, me and you looked at each other and we go, "Oh shit, man. This Yankees team is going to be a beast." And cuz he was ridiculous out in
Oh yeah,
Colorado. I just spraying the ball all over the field. And I was like, that was exactly what the Yankees needed was a contact guy, a high contact guy that got on base. And ever since he's been here, with the exception of a couple of years, it's been a pretty big disappointment for
yeah. He was a
LeMahieu. But
monster in 2019 and 2020 for the Yankees, and then he hasn't been within 100 points of those batting averages since. So although he's been on the field a fair amount, he's not been effective. Something after the 2020 season, he's been a replacement level player and not an
yeah,
impact player like we thought he was. Because you and I thought the same thing. Like he was the consistent high average on base machine that lineup was missing. And with him, they were going to be difficult, but they really just haven't gotten much out of him.
no. Now, going back to the kind of protection of Judge, they're going to shuffle that lineup, and maybe Bellinger becomes that protection.
Very
You
possible that
know,
Bellinger becomes that protection. I mean, they can do things in that lineup to give, maybe Dominguez goes there, maybe Bellinger goes there.
that's facts.
I mean, they've got some options. It's just, I think that when you see the lineup card and it's Cody Bellinger versus Giancarlo Stanton, I just think pitchers feel a little different when they go to face Judge. However, Bellinger,
Yeah,
short porch, left-handed bat. Maybe we look up in April and go, "Holy cow, he's a beast," and the world feels differently at that point. Who knows?
yeah. And we don't know the timetable for Stanton, so he could come back and be, back in that lineup sooner than we know. I don't know. I mean, Stan's not getting any younger. His recovery time is going to be longer, and don't know the extent of the elbow injuries. So I just know that he's back in New York getting him checked out.
Yeah, and was it tendonitis? Is
So
that what it came out to be?
I I believe
Yeah.
so. I believe that's what the
Which
reports were.
tendonitis, it's like spraining your ankle. It's way worse than just hurting it really bad. If you sprain your ankle versus break your ankle, the sprain takes twice as long to heal as the break. Tendonitis is a
Right.
beast because you just don't know. There's no way to treat it other than rest, and you don't know how much rest that's going to take, and you don't know how it's going to respond when you try to get back into action. So you're kind of punching at clouds here, trying to treat him because you don't really know what you're treating.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I mean, so you think overall it doesn't affect the Yankees too much?
I mean, LeMahieu makes no difference. Stanton, I think Stanton has an impact, but I don't know that. Again, I think just like with Luis Heel, I think it hurts, but I don't think it. All of a sudden the Yankees are going to finish second in the AL East because of it. Um, I just think that the races are going to be a little tighter because the Yankees are going to clearly get off to a slower start.
Yeah.
And of course, we say that and watch the Yankees go like, friggin' 18-5 in April, and we're like, well, never mind. Um,
Yeah, that Tampa Bay Rays
right,
April that they had a
right,
couple years
yeah.
ago.
And then maybe you go, never
Yeah.
mind. Um,
Yeah.
but we'll
Crazy.
see. I mean, I definitely think it has an impact, but I still think the Yankees have enough talent; they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. We'll move on to Albert Pujols managing the Dominican Republic in the WBC. So, do we see Albert as an MLB manager at some point in the near future?
I absolutely think he would be a fantastic manager, and I do think this is his, kind of his path or starting the path to being a manager. I would love to see he and Yadi Molina as like manager, bench coach, manager, pitching coach, something. I'd love to see them become like a duo because that would be an unbelievable combination. And the Cardinals would be
Yeah.
insane not to fire everybody and hire those guys immediately once they were available.
Yep. 1000% with you. Um, I think he just demands so much respect. I mean, obviously, from the Dominican Republic players. I think you might see a different DR team in this WBC coming up. And I mean, I say different. I don't think really different, but like roster wise, it won't be much different. But I think their attitude might be a little bit different with Pujols at the
Well,
realm.
and I feel like, and I don't want to downplay this because so many managers fall into this bucket, but I feel like when you've got a manager who played but wasn't any good, like Terry Francona, versus a guy who's a you clear Hall of Famer, major, holds some significant records, some insane stats. Like I feel like when you put a guy like that in front of a group of players, the amount of respect that commands is just so much more. And I feel like if you are a team owner and you hear that Albert Pujols wants to be a manager, and you think of the impact that having him in your organization could have on the players you currently have, but also b attracting players to come there, I feel like that would be a no-brainer to go hire him yesterday to let him begin that process. Because I think a guy like Pujols, because of the respect he garners and the personality he has and what he accomplished, I think players would be lining up to come play for him just to be around him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the guy that walks into a room, doesn't even have to say anything. He just stands there and he demands that presence. And everybody will know what he's talking about. And he doesn't even have to say
No,
anything.
and he's also like,
Like he has
yeah,
that
he's also one of like the nicest people you ever meet. Like it's not a guy with a huge ego that's a
right.
jerk. Like he walks in with a smile on his face and everybody's head turns and they're just like enamored by the
Yeah.
fact that he's in the room with them.
Yep.
I love
Yeah, I
this.
agree. So I mean that's
And
yeah, I do
after a
too.
disappointing showing from the DR last go around, I think he's the right decision to fix that.
Yep. And that team again could be absolutely stacked.
Oh, that
I
roster could be
mean,
gross. I mean that was the best roster in the tournament last year, or not last year, last time, and they just had a rough finish to their pool play.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, they
let's
unfortunately ran
see.
into a couple of hot teams at the wrong time.
Yeah, agree. Oh, so I'm trying to find the roster right now. Um, here we go. That's Canada. We got Julio Rodriguez in center, Ellie De La Cruz at short, Juan Soto in left, Vlad Guerrero at first, Devers DH, Jose Ramirez at third, Tatis in right, Cattell Marte at second, and Yiner Diaz at catcher.
Holy cow!
Oh my God. And then their starting pitchers could be Framber Valdez, Luis Castillo, Sandy Alcantara, Freddie Peralta, and then closed it out with Felix Batista.
Yeah, I mean that's a team that's going to win some games.
I mean, my
Nobody's
goodness.
lining up to want to face them.
Yeah. So that's the projected lineup for 2026 DR. But my
Wow.
God, I know we kind of went over the USA roster last week, what that projected lineup looked like, but that DR team could be
That would be like
ridiculous.
a U.S. versus DRB absolute clash of the Titans. I mean, and don't sleep on Japan because they're going to show up with
Yeah, never can.
Otani, Yamamoto, Sasaki, and then a bunch of other guys we've never heard of that are all like nasty. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
to matter.
Nope. Yeah. So I'm pumped for that WBC 26. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself. We still got a full
Yep.
MLB season ahead of us, but just next year we're gonna have baseball sooner, and I am here for it. I
Going to
can't
be
wait.
awesome.
I mean, if it was anything like the 2023 baseball classic, I mean, it's going to be hard to outlive that one because that one was so good. But the shaping up 2026 could be good because it sounds like teams are going to do whatever they can to load up.
Well, and we talked about it last week with Team
So,
USA. Like they have been, those guys are politicking to get all the best players on that team because they want to just load it and go for it all.
yeah. All right. Before we move into our unbreakable records debate here, Texas Repo, we saw a big Astros fan, kind of less excited to start because of losing Verlander, Tucker, and Bregman. I mean, that is kind of a downer. Totally understand that. But I mean, with the addition of Christian Walker, does that what are your Astros doing? Are they selling? Are they just trying to rebrand? Are they in it? How do you feel like the AL West is going to pan out? Because me and Harris in the last few weeks have no idea what's going to happen in the AL West this season. I still think it's a coin flip.
Yeah, it's we were up and down all off season. Like, oh, okay, they're tearing it down. No, wait, they're going to build it up. No, wait, they're going to tear it down. No, wait, they're building it back up. And then at the end, we're like, well, wait a second. So where did they end up here? You traded Tucker away because you knew you couldn't pay him. You lost Bregman.
Yeah.
You lost. I mean, Verlander doesn't really hurt because he wasn't good for you, but he was such a key part of that team for a while. You're moving Altuve to left.
Yeah.
You picked up some other random pieces along the way. Like, is that team better than last year? The same? Worse? Like, I don't even know what to make of it.
Yeah, I don't either. But yeah, and I kind of agree with this point. Like experience itself will win games. Yeah. And the guys you did pick up have postseason experience. I think that helps. I don't know where to slate the teams in at this point. I mean, A's, say what you will about the A's, but they made some moves in the starting rotation that they desperately needed. They have young kids that are coming up with Langoliers, the extension to Rooker, Lawrence Butler. They got some pieces that could win some ball games in Sacramento. Seattle Mariners, their pitching staff you're never out of a game when you have that pitching staff, but their offense takes them out of quite a few of those games. So like they're a wild card to me. I have no idea. Angels are the Angels. I don't, they've made moves also this offseason. What that does, I don't know. Like I'm like that and can the Rangers stay healthy? Again, I don't know. Like I have question marks for all 5 teams in that division. I have no idea where I'm even going to go when we do our prediction show in a couple weeks. Like I don't. I have like 4 different scenarios mapped out, and I'm trying to pick one, and I can't.
Yeah, it's. I have never been more confused by a division than I currently am with the AL West. I have no idea what to make of it. I don't know who's legit, who's not. I do trust the Astros experience. That if anything else, they've got that going for them. But other than that, I have no idea what to make of that division.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just putting all 5 names in a hat and just pulling from 5th to 1st and calling it a day. I just
you
I
might have
it's
just
crazy.
as good a chance as anybody.
Yep. All right, so we're going to move on to most unbreakable records debate. So what you're going to see is 2 records that I think are pretty unattainable. But you have to choose which one could get broken first. Got it? And if you're in the chat, you can definitely chime in. This is exactly what we want. We want you guys to also answer these. So and History Dork, You're absolutely 1,000% correct. It's injuries, and that's why the Rangers, to me, I can't bank on them. They seem to be hurt all the time. So, but you're right. It's key injuries are definitely play out in the 162 for
Yes,
sure.
especially
But
when you're talking pitchers, because that's where Texas has had their biggest set of issues.
yeah. All right, Harrison. I'm starting off with a bang
Here we
right
go.
here.
Yep.
You ready? Cy
Oh
Young's
my God.
511 career wins versus Walter Johnson's 110 career shutouts. Which one is more breakable?
I mean, there's no way anybody ever breaks either of these, but I think which one's more breakable? I mean, I feel like 110 career shutouts is insane. I mean, for a guy who goes 20 seasons, that's 5.5 per season. Nobody gets more than a couple anymore. I just feel that, in terms of, complete games are so low. Shutouts are, it's so free. It's so infrequent anymore. I feel like nobody will ever get 110 career shutouts. I also feel like they never get 511 career wins. But I feel like
No.
shutouts are a thing of the past. Guys don't even they could have a shutout going through 7. They still get pulled and the bullpen comes in.
Yeah, you're not wrong with that. However, I'm going with 110 career shutouts are the most obtainable because pitchers actually can make 110 starts in their career and could possibly get 110 career shutouts. Like, will they?
Sure.
No. Just to everything you just said, like, no. But the opportunity is there, right? A starting pitcher can make 300 to 400 starts in their career and possibly, I mean, slim chance, like less than 0.001% get 110 career shutouts. No one even makes, no one even starts 511 games anymore, let alone gets 511 wins. So to me, Cy Young's 511 wins are completely unattainable, as I think Johnson's are too, but they have the opportunity. Like they
Yeah.
could get the game started to get the shutouts.
That is fair.
So that's how I'm
It
going
is
with
at
that.
least statistically probable somebody could get enough opportunities to get there because 511 wins. If the league leader gets 33 starts a year, they would have to go 33-0 for 15 and a half seasons to get 511. Like the math. If somebody pitched 20 years, they've got to win 25 games a season. Like
That's ridiculous.
there's no
All right,
shot.
Justin Verlander's career. Justin Verlander's career. How many games started do you think he has?
Verlander? Oh goodness.
Yeah.
350.
No. He does have 526.
Oh
He has
yeah.
526 games started, but his record's 262 and 147. Again, Cy Young pitched every inning of every game. I get it, but to me that one's completely unattainable. Justin Verlander has pitched for God, I don't know how many seasons
20.
now. Debuted in 2020 years, and he just hit 525 starts. So to me, 511 is completely unattainable. So I have to lean Walter Johnson myself
Yeah,
here, but it's
yeah,
it's still crazy.
526 starts. He'd have to be 511 and 15 right now.
Yeah, not happening.
There's no way.
Not happening.
Just no way.
Yep. All right. Next one for you, Harrison. Barry Bonds 232 walks in a single season versus Hack Wilson's 191 RBIs in a single season. Which one is more breakable?
I feel like the way baseball has gone, I feel like Barry Bonds' walk record is more breakable. We've seen guys get, approaching 200 walks. And I feel like the way the game goes with the guys with deeper counts, pitchers a little bit more erratic, pitchers that nibble, I feel like you could see somebody break Barry Bonds' record. I mean, we had a handful of guys last year get over 100 RBIs. Like there wasn't even that many of them. I feel like
Really.
that walks record is, of the two, the one that somebody could actually go and break.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I mean, we had Juan Gonzalez in what was it, 97 or 98? Maybe it was 99. I don't know. Those 3 years kind of blur together. I think, and he had 109 RBIs before the All Star break, and then only ended with only ended with 157. Like if that was the year that someone was going to chase it and possibly break it, it was that one, and he still didn't even do it.
Yeah.
191 RBIs is ridiculous. So yeah, I'm with you with walks here.
Yeah,
For
last year
sure.
you had 16 players with 100 or more RBIs, and the most was Judge at 144. Um, and
Yeah,
most of
you
those
still
guys
got
were 105 or less. I mean,
yeah,
there's just no shot somebody's going to get there.
yeah, yeah. Still needs 60 more RBIs somewhere, like Judge,
Right.
to get to, like that's crazy. Not
I mean,
happening.
you need more. You need more than one RBI per game for the whole season to get to where Hack Wilson was. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So these guys agree with us. Yeah, walks record is more obtainable.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
you're
sure.
and Forrest, you're right. Like, guys are literally training how to work counts and get walked. Like, that is now a
Yep,
in demand skill.
yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about on base percentage now. That I mean, it's almost to the point where like batting average is almost like kind of
Yep.
out, kind of like the wins loss record for pitchers. Like teams are looking more at on base percentage than they are batting average, which I mean, you kind of should. You want guys on base. You want
Yeah.
traffic. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
But all
I
right,
totally get it. I mean, you got guys. I mean, Judge himself. Judge walked 130 something times last year. You know, Kyle Schwarber consistently walks more than 100 times a year. I mean, you've got guys that take some walks, but I mean, 232 is an insane number. But could somebody get
yeah,
there? I think they're more likely to get there than the RBIs.
yeah. The crazy part is like 230 of them are intentional. So there's
Oh, it
that.
was crazy. I mean, he was getting intentionally walked with the bases loaded. Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, wild. All right, next one for you. Pete Rose's 4,256 career hits versus Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hit streak.
Yeah, there's no way anybody's touching Pete Rose's career hits record. I mean, I mean, we had what was it? 3 players last year get 200 hits. Was that the number, Nick? I forget. I'm looking.
Yeah,
Two.
it
Sorry, two
wasn't
players
many.
is Witt and Arise.
Yeah,
Vladdy fell
yeah.
one short. I mean, at at 200 hits a season, you got to do that for more than 20 years. Um, there's absolutely no way anybody's touching his hit record. The 56 game hit streak, I mean, you just have to get a hit 56 times, 56 games in a row. You don't have to get more than, 56 hits in the whole season to do that. You just have to string them together. So, as insane as that is, I mean, a guy like Luis Arise is somebody who could make a run at that. We've seen some guys get into the 30s um, in the last couple seasons. 56 is such a long time and such a tough record to break. But could somebody, going back to the original one here, but in terms of probability, like that's one where somebody would have a shot. There's just people don't get enough hits or play long enough to ever touch Pete Rose's record.
So here's the kicker, though. If Ichiro would have came straight to the MLB, would he have broken Pete Rose's record?
Um, I'm gonna say no, but he would have been real close.
Because we did it a couple weeks ago. He had between the two, he broke Pete Rose's all-time hit record between Japan and the US. He had 4,300 and something, I believe, between Japan and the US. Now we have see, yeah, John just backed me up on it. Well, right here,
Yeah, but
this one.
I wouldn't take
Um,
Japan stats as anything more than references. I mean,
I was right. I was just gonna say that because we've talked about how Japan's pitching is subpar to what's in the
yep.
MLB. Like I get that. They say they compute it to like double A. So I mean I get that, but I'm I think I'm with you here. I think Pete Rose's is probably less obtainable than
Yeah.
DiMaggio's. Like numerous players have a chance to every year. I mean, everybody on every roster has a chance to break DiMaggio's 56 game hit streak. Not a lot of people get the opportunity to play 22 years recording 200 hits a season. Guys just don't play that long anymore.
No, they don't. I mean, and
No.
looking at Ichiro, like you look at his peak, he was averaging about 220 hits a season. If you give him if you give him 5 more seasons, you add 1,100 hits to his 3,089. He's at 4,189. He still isn't there. Could he have? I mean, sure, he could have had like a crazy season, but I mean, I think that Ichiro would have been real close, but probably wouldn't have beaten him. But he would have been 4,000 plus, knocking on the door.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's just such a crazy number of hits.
All right.
Like it's just unreal.
It really is. All right. Next one. Speaking of Ichiro's 262 hits in a single season, or Barry Bonds' 73 home runs in a single season.
Boy. I mean, people don't hit like that anymore. I don't think you'll see Ichiro's hits in a single season broken. I mean, again, we had 2 guys break 200 hits this year. And I don't think any of them have a legitimate shot to really get the 262. Even a guy like Luis Ariz, who's crazy high contact. I just don't see 262 being a reality. I think somebody could break 73 home runs. I don't know who or how, but I feel like somebody could get hot and break 73 home runs. I don't see anybody touching 262.
I think I'm leaning towards you as well. I've been kind of kicking this one back and forth. I mean, Judge had 62, and when he was chasing 62, he had like a week and a half stretch where he didn't hit one. Like he got cold a little bit in September. So like you add, let's say 4 or 5 more to that, you're looking at 68, and he's only 5 off the record. So like I feel like that one could be more obtainable. 262 hits in a season is asinine. It's silly. It's stupid, really. But yeah, so John agrees. Ichiro single season hits here, and Judge would be the guy to do it.
Yeah, I think that I think any season Judge could be the guy to break that record. He's got to get protection. He's got to get things to go his way. I mean, Barry Bonds hit more than 50 home runs once in his whole career. It was that season. I mean, sometimes things just go your way, and those 5 warning track fly balls, get blown into the first row, and all of a sudden your whole season looks different. So there's a lot that has to go right. And even for Barry Bonds, that was the case. But I could see a guy like Judge making a run at that. And I'm sure there's other guys coming up to the minor leagues that can make a run at that we haven't even seen yet.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And with the drop and drive approach in the MLB now, I think it's definitely more obtainable than the high contact 262.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, they don't teach baseball in terms of base hits. They teach baseball in terms of launch angle, hitting the ball in the air, hitting home runs. It's this whole wave of college kids that are coming into the minors right now are drop and drive hitters that are trying to go yard. They're not trying to get a base hit up the middle. They're trying to hit the thing 450 feet.
Yep. Ichiro's lifetime amount of infield singles, 694.
That's what 20% of his. That's 20% of his hits. A little bit more than 20% of his hits were never left the infield.
Yep, that's wild.
That's insanity. I mean, crazy. Speed kills. We've said that many times. Like, speed is like the great equalizer, and that's what makes people like Ellie De La Cruz and Bobby Witt and Acuna so dangerous. Is the fact they can beat you a lot of ways, and speed is a really nasty weapon.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. Nolan Ryan's 7 no-hitters or Nolan Ryan's 5,714 career strikeouts?
Boy. I feel like it's the career strikeouts will never be touched. I feel like the 7 no-hitters, somebody could go throw 7 no-hitters. I feel like these guys that are throwing, I mean, hell, Paul Skeens might go throw 7 no-hitters for all I know. These guys that are
this year,
these guys that are throwing 100 miles an hour with 18 inches of lateral break on a slider, and then they throw splinkers and cutters, and like I feel like we still see a pretty decent number of no hitters each season, but 5,714 career strikeouts just is ridiculous. I mean, I look at the career that Clayton Kershaw's had, and he's what, just trying to get to 3,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't see anybody touching that. You know, go back to a guy like
Yeah.
Justin Verlander, 3,416 in 19
Yeah.
seasons.
And he's got 3 no hitters.
Right.
So
there's no
yeah.
way that strikeouts record gets touched.
Yeah. No one pitches from, what was it, 68 to 93, I think was Nolan Ryan's career.
Yeah, I mean,
just an insane amount of years and innings pitched.
I mean, if you average 10 Ks, if you get 10 Ks per 9 innings, you'd have to do that in 571 starts.
Oh, sorry, 66 to 93 is when he pitched.
Yeah.
19 to 46. My
So it's what
goodness.
Chris Sale has the highest active Ks per 9 with like 11.9, right? That
Yeah.
11.9 strikeouts, that means you have to make 480 starts at 11.9 to touch 57-14.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
Forrest, you're totally right.
Absolutely. They have to pitch for 60 years at that pace. It's not happening.
You can't do it.
And then how many one hitters did the dude have? He had like 13 or something like that. Like insane. But yeah.
Yeah, guys just don't pitch long enough to touch that record.
No. In the game or for years. True. Both ways. They don't pitch in the game in a single game long enough, and they don't pitch, years long enough. So yeah, I'm with you. That strikeouts will never.
But
be touched.
Take a minute to recognize the fact that like Nolan Ryan holds both those records. Like,
he also owns career walks. His career walks will never be touched either. That's up over 3,000, I believe. But yeah, absolutely
it's
crazy.
Bananas.
12 one hitters. Yeah, 25 plus 3 hitters. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. It's
stats are gross.
Johan Santana was better, and it took him 700 pitches. Johan Santana in his prime, dude, was fun to watch for sure. That dude was an animal.
He has to have like one of the 2 or 3 best changeups I've seen in my whole life.
Oh,
the thing looked like it was 100, and it just like died before it got to the plate.
Yeah, like one of those cartoon changeups where it's just like stops and drops.
Unreal.
Yeah,
that pitch was gross.
Yeah. All right. Mickey Mantle's 18 career World Series home runs versus Yogi Berra catching both games of a doubleheader 145 times.
It's Yogi Berra's record, and it's not even close. I mean, somebody could get in the world. I mean, hell, Shohei Ohtani might break that record because he might be in the World Series every year for the next 9 or 10. So Mickey Mantle did that because he had so many appearances. Somebody else could do the same, but there is no catcher in baseball history that will ever catch that many doubleheaders. I mean, none of them catch doubleheaders now. Forget about doing it 145 times, and there's not even that many doubleheaders to catch. Because you don't play doubleheaders anymore. It's only if there's a rainout, and that's a couple times a season. So there's no way anybody will touch Yogi's record.
I'm with you. I put this in here more because I was astounded by the number of times he did it versus like actually being like an unbreakable record for Mantle, because I think it could be. But that was just I think I texted you when I found this. I was like, oh my God.
And I was like, that can't be real. Like I had to look it up myself. I'm like, oh my God, that's a real stat.
Yeah.
This
is a good
question.
So who do you associate Nolan Ryan with the most?
So it's funny because I think based on my age, I associate Nolan Ryan with the Rangers, because that's where I saw him pitch the most. He left the Astros long before I was even aware. So I don't really remember him with the Astros, but I do remember him with the Rangers. So let's see, he left the Astros in '88. I mean, I was 4. I do not remember the Mets. Obviously, California. I really didn't see Houston. I only remember him with the Rangers at the end of his career because of my age.
Yeah. It's weird how like I'm pretty much the same with you. I would go Rangers, Angels, Astros, Mets for me because like the same reason as you. Like I grew up and Nolan Ryan was on the Rangers. Like, and then I know he came up with the Angels, so like I associate him with there, and then like just kind of finishing it out with like the Mets and stuff like that with Tom Seaver. Like so, um, yeah, like I associate him with the Rangers first of all. Um, but
Yeah.
I mean, he was ridiculous
Well,
everywhere.
it's a
But
shame too because because of the way his career ended in '93. I saw so little of him because of my age. Like I wish I had gotten a chance to see more of Nolan Ryan pitch because you look at his numbers in Houston and they were, I mean, he was great in Texas for 3 of the 5 years. But like he was
yeah,
amazing in Houston in the early '80s. Like the numbers were insane. I would have
yeah,
loved to have been able to see him pitch like in his prime. I got to see Nolan. I got to see
oh
40
yeah,
plus year old Nolan Ryan. I did not get to
right,
see late 20s, early 30s Nolan Ryan.
yeah. I'm sure it was ridiculous. Yeah, Ventura. Yeah, I mean, it's the one of the most epic scenes in baseball history ever. It's just Nolan Ryan putting him in a headlock and just punching him 6 times at the
Well,
dome.
and
It's
you
the
think about
best.
Nolan Ryan, like his career, like he had the Ventura fight as a Ranger, he got the busted lip as a Ranger. He had what 2 of his no hitters with the Rangers, maybe it was 3, I can't remember,
Mhm.
but um, he had so many. He was only in Texas for 5 years, but he had so many like
I think he had the five. Yeah, hit 5K as a
yeah, like he
Ranger.
had so many big moments with the Rangers. Like so much of his career, I think people think of the Rangers because there were just so many moments. Like there's so many. There were so I had so many posters of him as a Ranger.
Yeah. Yeah, see, when he was with the Angels, he was nasty too, and I think that's why I associate him as an Angel, like second, like on the list. Um, but I mean, Nolan Ryan's stats were dumb no matter what team he was on. But I think with you, definitely like the Rangers, he's more associated with because of the milestones he hit while wearing that
Yeah,
uniform.
and there's no
But
doubt he
yeah,
was best with the Angels, but that's so far in the past. I honestly don't even remember he was an Angel most of the time.
yeah, all
But like
right.
Nolan Ryan with the Angels was consistently like a 6 to 7 WAR pitcher, which
Yeah,
is nuts.
yeah. All right, next one, Harrison. Fernando Tatis Sr.'s 2 grand slams in 1 inning versus Ted Williams' 84 game on base streak.
Oh boy, this is a tough one. I feel like Fernando Tatis's 2 grand slams an inning is just like such a fluke. Like it's such a fluky one.
Yeah,
I feel like anybody could break that any given night. Just you just have to have things fall right for you. Ted Williams 84 game on base streak. I don't know how anybody touches that. In a world of 0 for 4 3Ks being a regular line, I don't see anybody getting on base enough. I mean, and as good as Juan Soto is, like there's no way Juan Soto would touch that. I don't see that one ever falling. The Fernando Tatis one, you just got to get lucky.
yeah. This one I still don't know which way to go really because, like you said, like sure you have to get lucky. You have to get up with the bases loaded, obviously, both times in the same inning. But then to also hit a home run in both opportunities is ridiculous. I don't know if the opportunity even presents itself again, let alone resulting in that. I mean, it's happened once in Major League history. Like that says something. I mean, 84 game on base streak, obviously, it's also happened once in baseball history. But man, I think I might be with you with the 84 game on base streak. I just think it'll never happen. That's a lot of games. That's more than half the season. That's ridiculous.
I mean, that's getting on base every single game for for more than half a season. Like, it's
Yeah.
mind-boggling to think that could even happen.
Yeah, and Forrest, I'm with you here 1,000%. Baseball is different. He hit both off Chan Ho Park. That's never happening. You give up a grand slam in the first inning, dude, you're coming out. Sorry, like it's bullpen time. You're not going to see this guy again. But yeah, I agree. But I mean, this is a good one too. This is one that senior and junior back to back, never again. I mean, I don't know. Even with the amount of legacy players that are in the league right now, like their dads have been long out of the game.
Right.
Like it's completely different.
I mean, Ken Griffey Sr. played into his 40s, right? Which is the only reason that was able to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of like almost like LeBron. Like he knew like his son was coming up, wanted the chance to play with him. But
yeah, I mean, he retired. He retired at 41, and he was basically a part-time player with the Mariners his last 2 seasons just to be around his son. I mean, he played 51 total. He had 51 total games, 188 plate appearances in 2 years with Seattle. He was literally just filling in to be able to play with his son.
Yeah, which
that's amazing.
Awesome, yeah, it's so cool. But all right, Harrison, we are on to a new segment. It is MLB Alphabet Soup. I am going to put up a name that is completely scrambled, and you have to tell me who it is. So it is separate. First name and last name are separate. Okay. And they're not intermixed. So it's not that like crazy. Like the first name scrambled separately, the last name's scrambled separately. Okay. So here we
hang on before you get started, Nick. Like May 73 to June 75, Ryan threw 4 no-nos, tying the record.
Is that good?
In 2 years, 4 no-nos.
2 years.
That is an awesome stat. Crazy. Thank you for sharing that, William.
I did almost put him the 7 no-hitters against Johnny Vandermeer's back-to-back no-hitters. I almost did that, but I'll save that one for another week.
Put that one in your back pocket.
Yeah. All right. Here's the first alphabet soup, Harrison. Who is this player?
That is a lot of letters. First name's got to be Doug.
It is Doug.
And the only guy I can think of with a Z in his name was from the Red Sox, Doug Mankiewicz.
It is Doug Mankiewicz. Nice job.
That was such a random assortment of letters.
Yep. I tried to do that with these, so hopefully they're not too hard. Ooh. So yes, Doug Mankiewicz. All right. And who is this?
Interesting. Last name, I mean, obviously it's not any Jan. The last name Jan.
It is Jan.
And the only Jan I can think of is Esteban Jan.
It is Esteban Jan. Nice job. Good. He's come up on this podcast a couple times.
He has. He's gotten some serious attention on this podcast, which is shocking for a guy that most people don't know.
So looking through my trusty old record book here, right? He is on the list of major league players to hit a home run in his first career at bat, to never hit another one in his career.
Wow.
Yep.
That is pretty crazy.
Yep. First major league at bat, went deep, never hit another one. Because I mean, how many opportunities did Esteban?
Just going to say, why was he even hitting to begin with?
Yeah,
that's wild.
Pretty awesome. All right, who is this?
Are there 5 A's in the last name?
Yes, sir.
Wow. That is a long name.
One of the longest.
Yeah, I keep coming back to because of all the A's. Is this Saltalamacchia?
It is, yes. It's
Jared.
Jared Saltalamacchia. Yes, good. Yep, nice
That is
one.
such a long
Yep,
last name.
Jared. Yeah, I was like, I gotta put all those A's together. It was insane. But yeah, Jared
That's awesome.
Saltalamacchia. Nice. All right. Next one. Who is this?
Wow. I mean, first name Tim.
Yeah, first name's Tim. The last name might be a tough one because he's a lesser known
Yeah,
player.
that is a lot of letters.
He's got one of the best last names though, and you've definitely heard of him because his last name's so unique.
There,
It's something you eat.
there was a
Oh, go ahead. Do you have
there
an
was a
idea?
picture from was it the Braves had like a really weird last name? Is this that guy?
Yeah, it might be.
I can't remember his name. It was
You eat soup with a what?
Spoon. Oh, is it Spoony
Uh-huh.
Barger?
The Spoonie Barger. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Tim Spoonie Barger. There you go.
Oh man.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy one. All right. Next one.
I called this one before the show. Is this Mark
You
Gredzelanek?
did, yep. It is great. Mark
So
Gredzelanek. Yes,
before the
sir.
show, people appreciate this. Nick's like, "Hey, I gave you some long names. Like, great. Did you give me guys like Gredzelanek?" He goes, "Maybe."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you're not wrong on that one, Tim the Gingerbread Man. Yeah, I mean, pretty close. Spoonie Barger, Gingerbread Man. Same close, same thing. Yeah, nice. Next one. Who is
oh
this?
boy. It's got to be Jason.
Uh-huh.
Jason with a last name. So it's clearly not Jason Bay.
Close, close.
Jason. Oh, pitcher. Is Isringhausen.
It is Jason Isringhausen. Nice. Good. Nice work. Jason Isringhausen. All right, next one.
What?
Ooh, John, you're on these. Good. Yeah, it was Isringhausen.
Oh, is this Quentin McCracken?
It is Quentin McCracken. Not to be fooled with Phil McCracken. Yeah, Quentin McCracken. Nice. Yep, Quentin McCracken.
That's a good one.
Nice. Yep. All right. I'll end your word suffering there.
Those are fun. I used to love the
Yeah.
word mix-ups when I was a kid. It like brings me back.
Yeah, I used to do like the daily jumbles all the time, and the yeah, Phil. Yeah, close.
Yeah, that's Quentin's brother,
right.
Phil.
Yeah. All right, straight MLB trivia, no tricks, just straight up trivia. Here we go. Who hit the most home runs in the MLB as a teenager?
Trout?
Nope.
Andrew Jones?
Nope. He was a Red Sox player.
Was a Red Sox player. Who? I mean, like Petrocelli wasn't. Lynn wasn't because he went to college. Say not Jim Rice, not Dewey. Those guys were all older. Running out. Is that the right era?
64 to 75 What's his career?
Oh, is it Canigliaro?
It is Canigliaro. Nice.
He had 24. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, as a teenager. Yeah. Nice job.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I was shocked by that one as well. So, especially with all the names like you dropped first, like Andrew Jones, Mike Trout, all them. I was like, nope, not
Yeah, all
quite.
guys that were at
Yeah,
least up when
24.
they were teenagers, but
Right.
wow.
Yep. All right. Who hit the most home runs in the MLB in the span of their 20s?
So a lot of the same names come to mind. Like, what about Trout? Junior?
Nope, you're on the right team though. It's for some of it.
Oh, is it A-Rod?
It is A-Rod.
Nice.
Yep. 424
Oh my goodness,
in his 20s.
that's a lot.
Yep. Yep. That's quite a big chunk.
Wow,
So,
that's a lot of home runs.
yep. Who hit the most home runs in the MLB in the span of their 30s?
Ooh,
This should be more of a no-brainer.
well now I feel bad because I don't know it. In their 30s.
Remember, my colors are always a hint.
Yeah. In their 30s. So late in their career. Oh, Bonds. Yep. Nice job, John.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, nice. That's China 444 only. That's it.
Jeez.
Just a little chunk.
Wow.
All right. Before I do this next one, I was going to do the 40s, but we already had that trivia question. But do you remember who's hit the most home runs in their 40s?
Was it? It wasn't Nelson Cruz, was it?
No.
Oh no, was it Fisk?
Yeah,
There's
72.
Fisk.
Yep. All right. Who holds the MLB record for most consecutive seasons with at least one home run?
I appreciate you, John.
Yep, absolutely.
So had to play a long time. So Rose.
Oh, and we got another little tidbit
Oh.
on Tony C, youngest AL player to hit 100 home runs.
Oh wow, that's a pretty cool one too.
That's cool too.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
career was
nice.
cut tragically short. Oh, this
Yeah.
has got to be Ricky.
It is Ricky.
I'm trying to think of
good 25.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of guys that played a long time. Like, oh, this has got to be Ricky.
Yeah.
The green. I should have seen
Yeah.
seen the green immediately. Guessed Ricky.
Yeah. I'm honestly still shocked. Out of all the trivia questions we post daily for as long as we have, only like 2 or 3 people have picked up on the fact that the hint is written in the question. Like legit, whatever color I use is a hint towards the answer to the question. But well, unless the answer is wrong, but we won't talk about that. Okay, next one.
Although what's funny is that you've been doing that since like the very beginning, and it took me months to realize like you weren't just messing with me, like you actually were doing that on purpose.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Who is the most recent player to accomplish 100 home runs with 3 different franchises?
Ricky.
Great guess, but no.
Let's see that color.
I could have picked this color. I could have picked teal and black. I could have also picked navy blue and red.
Teal and so teal. That's the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
Red and navy, Red Sox.
Nope. Stay in the AL West there. So Dodgers, Mariners.
Oh, Rangers.
Nope, not Freeman.
Rangers, Dodgers.
Freeman's only played for 2 franchises.
Rangers, Dodgers, Mariners. Oh, is this Adrian?
It is Adrian Beltre. Yep. 2019 is when he accomplished it.
Wow. And and Red Sox only had the one season there, so yeah, it would only be 3.
Yeah. but he was only a few short because he had a ridiculous season in
He was
Boston.
so good in Boston.
I hated when he left. Yeah, Beltray, nice job, John. All right. Who is the most recent catcher to achieve a triple milestone season, which is a 300 batting average, 30 home runs, and 100 RBIs?
Is this a Real Muto?
No.
Wouldn't not Yachty, right?
Further back than them.
Further back than them. So offensive catchers before that group. Pudge?
Nope, but around that time period.
So another offensive catcher in that era.
This catcher had, I think it was a 42 home run season that year.
Oh, wow. All right. So I was going to go down. The red means it's not going to be a guy like Kendall. It's not going to be a guy like Piazza. Who else was an offensive catcher in that time frame?
2003, he accomplished this. 43 home runs, 109 RBIs with a 328 batting average.
For which team?
The Braves. That probably gives it away.
So it's got to be Javi Lopez.
It is Javi Lopez. Good.
He was such a good hitter.
Yep.
And
for a short span.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he got overshadowed by Piazza.
Yep. Yeah, ended his career with 260 home runs. I mean, still not bad for catcher.
He had a few just like obscene seasons.
Yeah, but he went to Baltimore, and I mean, 23 and 04 for Baltimore, 15 and 05, and then only played like half seasons the rest of his career there.
And back in that time frame, like 20 home runs in a season for a catcher was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Who holds the record for lowest batting average in a single season while also driving in 100+ runs in that same season?
This has to be my boy Kyle Schwarber.
It is definitely Kyle Schwarber. This batting average to me still like blows my mind. 197, 104 RBIs.
Like his slash lines make no sense. They just make no sense.
0 sense. 197 average with like 400 on base percentage with 42 home runs, 38 singles, and like 104 like knocked in. It just 2023 was just such like I can't even describe what kind of season that was for Schwarber. Weird.
Just none of it makes any sense. Like, how do you hit 197, still have a 350 plus on base percentage, and drive in 104? It doesn't compute. Like the math doesn't work.
No, not one bit. It's wild to me. I don't get it. But yeah, crazy. All right. That's the last thing I had. But I do want to bring this up.
Yeah.
Thursday is our 200th episode, which is absolutely mind-blowing for us. We've been at this for almost 4 years now, which is crazy. What we're going to do during this 200th show is our best types of duos throughout history. So we're going to do some of our favorites, some of the best. So like we have best teammates, we have best double play duos, we have best manager duos, we have stuff like that. And we have some like 200 base trivia. So that's going to be on Thursday. That's going to be a ton of fun. So definitely stop by and join us for that and join the discussion there. But for us to be doing this for 200 episodes has been absolutely crazy. And the people we've met have been incredible. And we'll get all into it on Thursday, but I'm really excited. I can't believe it's been 200 episodes already.
Yeah, it's I still think back to like you wrote on Facebook, hey, anybody want to do a baseball podcast? I remember scrolling past it going, nah, no, probably not. I'm sure he'll find other people. Then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I would do a baseball podcast. and here we are. It's been a hell of a ride, and we've met so many cool people.
Yeah.
I'm
already geeking out, dude. We are too. It's like it's crazy.
And yeah, it's just
Yeah,
and it's
so
been
it will be a ton of
it's
fun.
been incredible who we've met, the support we've gotten, the people that keep showing up in the chat. Like it's just it makes it so much fun. It's been such a blast.
Yeah, and it's cool for us because, like we said, like we're just like two huge baseball fans that just love talking baseball, and everybody that we've talked to, like on the show here or off the show, like on our comments of our trivia questions, like I've learned so much more about baseball, the history of baseball with like Forrest and Nostalgic Baseball Geezer and all of them. Like the community that we've met through here has been more than I could have even imagined when we started this thing. Like it's been incredible. It
Yep.
really has.
Well, and if
But
it's any indication of how much fun we have, like I've done the last two episodes on vacation in Florida, hiding in a back bedroom of hiding in a
yeah,
back bedroom of an Airbnb, um, because I don't want to
yeah,
miss the episode. Like I want to jump on and talk baseball because it's so much fun.
yeah, absolutely. One answer Thursday will be Abbott and Costello. Did I give you the notes for
Yeah.
Thursday? I must have. Like, come on,
Do you
man.
know who's on? Do you
My
know who's on
before and after
first?
was Yeah, my before and after was Jim Abbott and Costello. Like, just killed it. I got to change that out now. He really did take one of my answers. All right. Well, anyways, nice prediction there. Um, all
That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna do celebrity and baseball before and after, and Jim Abbott and Costello was definitely one of them.
Well, good.
So we'll scratch that
No,
one.
we should keep that one. We'll just
Go
give
get
credit to William for answering it a week early.
yeah, that's facts. But yeah, so that will be fun on Thursday for sure. That will be a later show. It'll be 9 o'clock because we want you West Coast kids to be able to get out of work and still be able to go to bed on time. So that will be a later show on
Yeah, we
Thursday.
stay
But
up late, so you don't have to.
yeah, exactly. So that is all I had for this week, Harrison. Do you have anything to add before we check out?
Just a couple of quick ones. Obviously, the MLB ESPN breakup is still lingering, and there's still more things going around. But apparently, ESPN has made the comment that they would be open to discussing an entirely new deal at a lower valuation if baseball would consider it. Manfred apparently has shut down that possibility for the time being, and MLB is moving full scale towards the national TV package, streaming package, MLB TV becoming the kind of the golden goose of this whole thing. So it sounds like the MLB ESPN relationship is going to end in 2025, as was indicated by the opt out, but it will not. They will not entertain continuing it in any way, shape, or form beyond that. So that is
I mean, and John, I was literally gonna say that almost word for word. I mean, they don't cover a gosh darn
no.
thing about baseball on there. And if it is, it was like I tuned in just because I was curious yesterday. They showed Shohei's leadoff home run that he hit in spring training, like his first at bat, hit that opposite field home run in his first at bat. And then it was bang, right back to basketball or right back to football. It's not even in season football. There's nothing to talk about in football. Baseball season's going on. I would even take basketball season right now.
Yeah,
And like they just won't talk about
no,
it.
and ESPN does. ESPN has a lot of basketball coverage, and yet ESPN's basketball ratings have declined for like 5 years in a row. Like MLB is
Yeah,
climbing, and ESPN's ignoring, and everybody else is declining. ESPN's paying attention to it. I mean, ESPN
yeah,
is garbage. Like even Sports Center is garbage. Like they don't provide any real like
yeah,
insight. It's just like a quick highlight reel and they move on. So I don't think anybody's
yeah,
upset about it, but that is a big. Sunday Night Baseball used to be a big deal. MLB's got to find a way to
yeah,
rekindle something that takes its place.
yeah. So Tucker, we're with you right here. We love Jose
Oh my
Ramirez
goodness, yes.
on this podcast, and we think he is completely undervalued, like very overlooked and underrated league wide. Not many people should know about him, and the dude almost had a 40-40 season last year. Like, I don't know how he doesn't get more eyeballs than he
Cleveland.
does, because he's I mean, that doesn't help.
That's the only reason.
I mean, but it hasn't been like the Guardians have been slouches the last few years either. like people have been able to see him, but he just doesn't seem to get the notoriety he should. And he's a damn good baseball
You put
player.
Jose Ramirez in L.A., New York, or Boston, he's a household name.
Oh, for
You sit him
sure.
in a small media market like Cleveland, and nobody knows who he is. Again, back to MLB's promotional problem of not, people not knowing the players, but that doesn't hurt, or that doesn't help, I should say.
Yeah. This was, I don't know. Unless they knew they weren't going to sign him, I don't know why they traded Josh Naylor. Now, me being a semi Diamondbacks fan, as they're like my second team, I'm all for it because we lost Christian Walker.
Yeah.
But for the Guardians, it really didn't make sense. I mean, you're contending every year. This guy was a big reason, a big cog, but you got rid of him and Andres Jimenez. Like, I didn't really understand the Jimenez trade either, to be completely honest. So kind of strange there.
Yeah. Well, they traded Naylor because he's past his 5-year mark, so he's going to get paid next year. And
I mean, okay, so I get that, but I mean, Jimenez too.
Yeah, I think that
what's his contract status?
I think the Guardians just kind of looked around and said, "Hey, neither one of these guys are going to be in our long-term plans." And the Guardians are trying to make room on the roster to bring other players up.
Jimenez is signed through 2029, so that was a weird one.
Yeah, well, the Guardians have who's the second baseman that's coming up that they traded Jimenez to make room for, and I'm blanking.
Oh, Travis Bazzana.
Thank you, Bazzana. Yeah, they moved Jimenez because they've got Bazzana waiting in the wings, who they'd rather bring up and let him play for cheap.
Yeah. I bet people in Ohio think Jose Ramirez is a god, and he should be. He should be, right? He's so good. When I went to Cleveland and watched him play, I think he went deep twice that game, and I was just like in complete awe.
He's the mayor.
He went. Yeah, I saw. It was the Guardians against the Mariners. So the two people on the team on the show tonight talking Mariners and Guardians, I saw them play each other in Cleveland. And Cal Raleigh went deep twice. Ramirez went deep twice. Like, it was a sick game to see, and Luis Castillo pitched. So it was a pretty fun game to go to. But yeah, I wish he got more attention league wide, and maybe a top 3 MVP finish like he had last year will help. But still, I don't think like the average casual fan thinks of Jose Ramirez as a top 10 baseball player, and you probably should.
Yeah, because they're not watching the Cleveland Guardians play, sadly. Because that is a fun team to watch play.
Yeah. Who do we think the most athletic baseball players ever?
Player ever? I mean, it's kind of hard to argue that a guy like Ricky Henderson wasn't. But you could right. say that Frank Thomas, or actually Dave Winfield, who got drafted in 97 different sports leagues.
Yeah, it was 4. It was 4, but I mean, just about
every sports league on the planet.
Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. I mean, you could go to those 2 sport guys too, but I don't know. That's a good question. That could be definitely a full show debate.
That'd be a great debate topic because there's a lot of different ways to measure that. But 2 other quick things for you, Nick. Right. So funny enough, today Albert Pujols was visiting with the Angels and was asked a question about his experience managing the Dominican team through the Caribbean Series and then the WBC coming up. And they asked him about being a major league manager, and his comment was, "It won't be long. I'll be a major league manager soon." So clearly a path he's heading on. And
am I blanking on the Angels manager right now?
It's Washington, Ron Washington.
Oh, thank you. I knew that. I don't.
Yep. So definitely a path that Pujols wants to head down. And then the last item I've got is Tony Clark came out today and was asked about his thoughts on the CBA, and his comment was, quote, and I quote, "Unless I am mistaken, the league has come out and said there's going to be a work stoppage." Because Rob Manfred did mention the fact that an off-season lockout or work stoppage is quite possible given the state of where things are at. So Tony
Yeah,
Clark is
I saw that.
basically saying there's very little opportunity here where we don't have some kind of a stoppage. And he closed his whole conversation by saying there are ways of addressing the system that aren't salary or cap related or require the restrictions of player salaries as the answer to every one of these questions. So similar to the owners kind of gearing up for this fight, Tony Clark is already beginning to fight this fight through the media. And everybody at this point believes there is going to be some level of work stoppage when the CBA comes up in December of 2026. And it may be a long one.
Yeah, we touched on that last week. I just don't see how it won't be.
Yeah.
I know that was a lot of negatives in one sentence. Sorry, my English is no good. But like, there's too much on the table, and too much, like, for lack of a better word, valuable stuff on the table that both sides don't want to concede on. Right? I mean, yes, do we have some stingy managers? Of course we do. We have managers that don't want to
Owners,
spend. I get it. Yeah. Is that what I said?
managers,
What did I say?
owners.
Same
Yeah.
thing. Yes, owners that don't want to spend. But there are teams that are spending too much, And listen, we're Red Sox fans, and I'm going to say the Red Sox spend too much too, especially after this offseason we just had. Like, the top tier teams are blowing this competition gap like further and further apart, and it makes it harder for the lower level teams to keep up. So I don't know. But the Players Association isn't going to put a cap on what their players can earn.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, it's been pretty clear that both sides have been kind of preparing their arguments and preparing to dig in on these issues. And they are clearly already, at least through the media, sharing their positions, and they're not close. And we didn't expect them to be close, but the problem is that they're not close on a significant like core of the game change, and that's not like adding a pitch clock or changing a TV deal. Like, that is, you're getting at the core economic platform the game is built upon, and that is the hill that both sides will be willing to die on. And this could be a long work stoppage that I hope they all realize will cost them far more than whatever concessions they give in a CBA.
1,000%. I hate it. For everything we said last week, you've spent the last 2 years doing a great job growing the game and getting it back where the casual fan is coming back. You're getting eyeballs back on your game, getting it back on your product, and then you're just going to stop it. After you have a 2026 WBC where fans get all excited again about the caliber of baseball being played, and then you stop the game for a significant time at the end of the season. Like, it's not good timing, which just seems like every CBA, it's not good timing. But this has to be fixed. And I don't know how or who gives in first, but it's going to be a long standout for both of them. Both of them aren't going to give in.
No, and like Tony Clark doesn't like the idea of a salary cap, and there's lots of ways to get at that. But you look at the news from the NFL, it came out a few days ago. The NFL salary cap was moving up to $279.2 million next year, going up by almost $24 million, which is a huge jump. But $279.2 million is the salary cap that almost every team spends at. I should say nearly every team. There's teams that don't, but most teams are at or near the cap. But there's only 5 teams in baseball that have spent more than $279.2 million per season. So, like, you can have a salary cap that still works out well, and that salary has to be paid out to 53 players, not 26.
Right.
So I feel like, and it is possible to make a salary cap work. It's also possible to make a luxury tax work. It's also possible to make deferred money no longer an issue. Like, there's lots of ways to get at this. But both sides are so dug in that I fear that they will choose to die on that hill, and they'll drag this out for way too long.
I can't even imagine, John, if this actually happened, where fans just like didn't go to baseball games. Imagine that if you could organize it so just nobody showed up to the ballpark. So it was like 2020 all over again. But people could go to the games. We didn't to make a
I
point.
mean, Oakland A's
That'd
fans
be
pulled it off.
wild. They did, but to do it league wide, I mean, that would be
Well, 'cause
insane.
it's hard because like fans
But
of the Dodgers aren't mad. Fans of the Yankees aren't mad
right,
about this issue. So it's
right.
hard to get universal support. But even if you could go pick the 15 teams that are in that bottom 15 and had those fans respond, like Pirates fans might be like, hell yeah, I won't go to the game. Screw Bob Nutting. But it's going to be hard
Yeah.
to get fans to be like, oh yeah, screw the Dodgers. I'm so mad at them when they're spending
Yeah. I
$400 million
mean,
this year.
I made the point last week. Like, what if the owners were finally like, you know what? Fine, no salary cap. But when this guy comes up to free agency, we aren't signing him. We're not. Like, he either comes on our team for our number or he just doesn't sign. And then
Well,
that's
and
it.
I think we've seen a little bit of that this the past two off seasons,
Oh, for
where
sure.
look at guys like Bregman, Alonso, Montgomery, Snell last year, not this year. Where they couldn't get the deals they wanted. Bellinger, you can go down the list of guys that didn't get the deal they wanted. However, you've got a few guys that did get the deal they wanted, um, and then you've got
Yeah, your top tier
and the
guys.
issue is not the salary by player; it's the team salaries where the Dodgers are, and now the Mets are also with the re-signing of Alonso. They're just off the charts.
Yeah,
Off the charts. I mean, they're spending more in salary than some of these teams make in revenue. Like it's not sustainable.
no.
Oh,
So hopefully it won't be too long, but it will be.
oh, people.
Yeah,
Oh, John,
yeah, it's
John,
all
just stay
love.
safe out there.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
That
we
West
will.
Coast is a wild place.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Anything else for this evening?
No, I think we're good. All kinds of stuff going on, but we keep creeping closer and closer to opening day.
Yes, thank God I am here for it. I already got my time off for it for that Monday. Got that time off well, actually, I don't even need to take the day off for that first game in Japan because that's like it's 6 in the
Yeah,
morning. So don't
yeah,
need to
we're
take the day off for that. It'll be over before it's time to go to
yeah we're
work.
2 weeks away.
Crazy.
It's awesome.
So all right. Um, thanks to everybody that joined us in the chat. That's the best part of our show every week. Like, honest to God, is talking baseball with you guys in the chat. We love it. Thursday is our big milestone episode 200. So milestone episode 200 on Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. for you West Coasters out there. So we have a whole bunch of special stuff planned for that day. So join us Thursday at 9 p.m. and we'll see you there. Tucker, join us on Thursday. We're here every Sunday night, every Thursday night, like clockwork. So we will be back. Just join us. Hit that subscribe button. You'll get notifications when we come on.
Yeah, say
And we'll be
Sunday
here.
and Thursday we're here usually for an hour or two. So join us. We love the chat.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Before you go, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram, Rumble, TikTok, any of the platforms. Comment on our reels, share our pages with your friends, please. We're almost to 9,000 followers on Facebook. We're so close. So just share away. We appreciate the support, you guys coming back every week and talking baseball with us. It's very much
And
appreciated.
last month we had over 2 million views across our socials from all of you. So
It was
it was
crazy.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny because like people don't realize that it's me and Harrison answering in the comments. Like it's only me and Harrison doing this, and like we're like spending all day answering comments and trying to build this baseball community. So when you guys keep coming back and talking baseball with us, like it means a lot to us for everything you guys have brought to the table. So Keep doing it. We'll be back to celebrate you and us, obviously, on Thursday for our 200th episode. And we will see you there, 9 o'clock Thursday. Be there.
Awesome. See ya.